Let's be real. We all know that one person who's late to everything. The friend who shows up 20 minutes after the movie starts. The coworker who rushes in right as the meeting begins. Maybe that person is you. And here's what's wild. It's estimated that chronic lateness costs the U.S. economy about $90 billion a year. Billion, with a B. But here's the thing. People who are always late aren't just lazy or inconsiderate. There's actual psychology behind this. Science has studied these people extensively, and what they found is fascinating. So if you're someone who's chronically late, or you know someone who is, this video is going to explain exactly what's going on in their brain. Let's dive in. All right, so the number one reason people are always late, it's called the planning fallacy. Here's how it works. When you're trying to figure out how long something will take, your brain does something weird. Instead of looking at how long similar tasks took in the past, you focus entirely on the task ahead of you. You imagine the best case scenario, everything going smoothly, no traffic, no delays. Research shows that people underestimate how long tasks will take by a significant amount. When psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky first studied this back in 1979, they coined the term planning fallacy to describe our tendency to be way too optimistic about timing. And here's the kicker. Even when people know they've been late before doing the exact same thing, they still think this time will be different. One study tracked college students and asked them to predict when they'd finish their assignments. The students were consistently too optimistic. They predicted they'd be done way earlier than they actually were. Even for assignments similar to ones they'd done before, the planning fallacy affects everyone. It doesn't matter if you're conscientious or a procrastinator. Both groups underestimate how long things will take. Conscientious people just get things done earlier, while still underestimating the time needed. Now here's where personality comes into play, and this is really interesting. Research by Dr. Jeff Conte at San Diego State University found that Type A and Type B personalities actually experience time differently, like literally perceive time passing at different speeds. Let me explain. Type A personalities are your go-getters, competitive, driven, always in a hurry. These people tend to be more punctual. Type B personalities are more laid-back, relaxed, less stressed about time pressure. In Conte's study, he asked people to estimate when a minute had passed without looking at a clock, and the results were shocking. Type A, people felt a minute had passed after an average of 58 seconds. Pretty close, right? Type B people felt a minute had passed after an average of 77 seconds. That's almost 20 seconds off. So if you have an 18-second gap in how you perceive time, and that adds up over an hour, over a morning routine, over getting ready for work, you can see how Type B people end up being late. Their internal clock is literally running slower than actual time. They genuinely think they have more time than they actually do. It's not that they're being rude. Their brain is telling them they're on schedule when they're actually behind. Here's another major culprit, multitasking. Research has shown that people who prefer multitasking, what psychologists call polychronicity, are more often late. In a 2003 study by Jeff Conte, he tracked 181 subway operators in New York City. The ones who preferred multitasking were more often late to their jobs. Why? Because multitasking is basically a myth. Your brain can't actually do multiple things at once. What you're really doing is rapidly switching between tasks. And every time you switch, there's a cognitive cost, a tiny delay as your brain reorients itself. These delays are measured in milliseconds, but they add up fast, and they make you lose track of time. Think about it. You're getting ready to leave, but you decide to quickly check your email. Then you see a text message. Then you remember you need to feed the cat. Suddenly 20 minutes have passed and you're late. Each of those task switches made you lose awareness of time passing. And now you're scrambling. Okay, this one's a bit technical, but stay with me because it's important. There's something called time-based perspective memory, or TBPM. It's basically your brain's ability to remember to do something at a specific time in the future. A 2016 study by psychologists Emily Waldom and Mark McDaniel found that some people are just worse at this. They gave participants tasks to complete within a certain time frame, with access to a clock. The tasks were designed to be engaging, like a jigsaw puzzle, so people would get absorbed and forget to check the time. And that's exactly what happened. Some people just have a tendency to lose themselves in whatever they're currently doing. They don't check the clock regularly when a deadline is coming up. They only realize what time it is when it's too late. This isn't a character flaw. It's literally how their brain is wired to manage time. Some people naturally monitor time better than others. Psychologist Linda Sapadin, who specializes in time management, identified 4 distinct personality types that are susceptible to lateness. Let's break them down. The perfectionist. This person won't leave the house until everything is perfect. Their appearance, their outfit, the way they've organized their bag. They're constantly making last-minute adjustments. Just one more thing turns into 15 minutes of tweaking details. The crisis maker. This person actually thrives on the adrenaline rush of barely making it on time. They're what some researchers call deadliners, motivated by that last-minute panic. Being early feels like wasted time to them. They need that pressure to feel engaged. The defier. This personality type views being late as a subtle form of rebellion. They resist the structure of time and social expectations. It's a passive-aggressive way of pushing back against authority or rules they don't agree with. Being late is their way of maintaining control. The dreamer. This is the person who gets completely lost in their own internal world. They're overly optimistic about how long things will take. They think the drive to work takes 10 minutes when it actually takes 20. They don't factor in traffic, delays, or unexpected events. This type is most consistent with people who have ADHD. Most people who are chronically late have a combination of these personality patterns. Speaking of ADHD, let's talk about this because it's a huge factor for many people. Research shows that individuals with ADHD often struggle with what's called time blindness, difficulty estimating how long tasks will take or how much time has passed. A 2019 review found that people with ADHD can find it particularly hard to process and estimate the passing of time. Some experts believe time perception difficulties are so common in ADHD that they should possibly be added to the diagnostic criteria. ADHD also features working memory deficits, which lead to difficulties with planning actions, organizing activities, scheduling time, staying on track. Additionally, people with ADHD may struggle with getting distracted by impulsive activities, losing track of items, keys, phone, wallet, executive dysfunction, difficulty with goal-directed behaviors. For someone with ADHD, being late isn't about not caring. Their brain genuinely has difficulty with time perception and organization. It's a neurological difference, not a personality flaw. Here's something really interesting. We don't even remember accurately how long things took in the past. Research suggests that people systematically underestimate the duration of past events in their memory. So when you're trying to predict how long something will take based on past experience, you're working with faulty data to begin with. Your memory tells you the commute took 15 minutes last week when it actually took 25. Then you base today's estimate on that incorrect memory and boom, you're late again. Plus, when people do remember being late in the past, they tend to blame it on external factors. Traffic was bad. Someone called them. There was unexpected rain. They use what psychologists call external, transient, and specific attributions. Translation: it wasn't my fault, it was a one-time thing and it won't happen again. But of course it does happen again. Because the real issue is the internal time estimation problem, not the external circumstances. It's not all in your head though. Real environmental factors affect how we perceive time. A 2022 study using virtual reality found that crowded commutes feel like they take 10% longer than less busy rides. Why? Because unpleasant experiences feel longer. So if you're on a crowded subway or stuck in heavy traffic, time genuinely feels like it's dragging. This can throw off your entire sense of timing for the day. Music can also affect time perception. Research shows that environmental factors like background music can influence how long we think tasks are taking. which impacts our planning. Now, some people think lateness is just procrastination, but they're actually different. Dr. Fuskia Siroi, a professor of psychology at Durham University, explains that procrastination is usually rooted in a difficult emotional relationship with the task. You're avoiding something because of how it makes you feel. Lateness, on the other hand, affects your relationship with other people. The key difference is that lateness impacts the people who matter to you most: friends, family, co-workers. Some people who are chronically late also procrastinate, but they're not the same thing. You can be an on-time procrastinator or a late person who doesn't procrastinate at all. Here's something wild. Being late isn't always a negative trait. Some research has suggested that people who are chronically late may actually be more creative and successful. Why? Because type B personalities, who tend to be late, are often more relaxed, more open to new experiences, and less bound by rigid structures. Their laid-back nature can lead to more creative thinking. They're not as stressed by time pressure, which allows their minds to wander and make unexpected connections. Now, this doesn't mean being late is good. It still causes problems for other people and can have real consequences. But it does suggest that the personality traits associated with lateness aren't all negative. So if being late causes so many problems, why don't people just stop? Here's the thing. Change is really hard when it involves your fundamental relationship with time. Psychologist Rochelle Isip, an organizational coach, points out that people usually only address chronic lateness once the negative consequences become too steep, like failing a class due to attendance, or losing a job, or damaging an important relationship. The constant rushing, the worry, the shame of being late, that's draining. But it often takes a major consequence before people commit to changing the pattern. Why? Because changing requires accepting that you have a problem, overcompensating for your natural tendencies. Constant vigilance about time breaking deeply ingrained habits. For someone whose brain naturally perceives time differently, or who has ADHD, or who's been late their whole life, that's an enormous amount of mental effort every single day. Okay, so if you're someone who's always late and you genuinely want to change, what actually works? Based on all the research, here are the strategies that help. 1. Accept your baseline first. Acknowledge where you actually are. Track for a week how long things really take you. Not how long you think they should take, how long they actually take. This is your baseline reality. 2. Use the fudge ratio. Once you know your baseline, calculate your fudge ratio. If you think something takes 30 minutes but it actually takes 45, your ratio is 1.5. Now multiply all your future estimates by 1.5. If you think getting ready will take 20 minutes, multiply by 1.5 to get a realistic 30 minutes. 3. Set multiple alarms. Don't rely on your brain to check the time. Set specific alarms for start getting ready, need to leave, and absolutely must leave now. 4. Plan backward. Research shows that planning backward, starting from when you need to arrive and working backward through all the steps, helps reduce the planning fallacy. It forces you to account for each step instead of just imagining the end result. 5. Build in buffers. Punctual people naturally build buffers into their plans. They assume traffic will be bad, they might need extra time to find parking, they could forget something and need to go back. Always add 25% more time than you think you need. 6. Avoid one more thing. Research specifically points to the danger of doing one more thing before you leave. That's the kiss of death for punctuality. Decide in advance when you need to stop everything else and focus only on leaving. 7. Focus on one area first. Don't try to fix everything at once. Pick the area where being late has the worst consequences, probably work, and focus all your energy there. Once you develop skills in that area, they'll naturally expand to other parts of your life. 8. Accept 90% success. Researchers say aiming for perfection is unrealistic. Focus on being on time the majority of the time, about 90%. You will still be late occasionally, and that's okay. The goal is progress, not perfection. So here's what we've learned. People who are always late aren't just inconsiderate or lazy. They might have a type B personality that literally perceives time differently. experience the planning fallacy like everyone else, but more severely, struggle with time-based perspective memory, have ADHD affecting their time perception, be perfectionists, crisis makers, defiers, or dreamers, have inaccurate memories of how long past tasks took, be affected by environmental factors that distort time perception. The psychology behind chronic lateness is complex. It involves personality, cognition, memory, neurology, and environment. But here's the important part. Understanding why you're late doesn't excuse it. Being late affects other people. It can damage relationships, harm your career, and cost you opportunities. The good news? Once you understand the psychology behind your lateness, you can take specific steps to fix it. It won't be easy. You're fighting against your natural tendencies and possibly your neurology, but it is possible. And remember, researchers say the goal isn't to never be late. The goal is to be on time most of the time. That's achievable for everyone. So whether you're a chronic latecomer trying to change, or someone who's always waiting for that friend who's never on time, now you understand what's really going on. What about you? Are you someone who's always early, always late, or somewhere in between? And if you're late, which personality type do you think you are? Let me know in the comments. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more psychology content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.